Welcome to Womxn Things The Podcast, a show dedicated to women who want to connect with their bodies and optimize their health for a more holistic and balanced life. We are your hosts and women's health experts, Cara Moore and Kirsten Humphreys, and we will be taking you on a journey of education and empowerment.
Stay tuned each week while we break down all the hottest topics in women's health today, including food and nutrition, periods, gut and skin health, fertility, and everything in between. You can find us on Instagram at Womxn Things, that's woman, WOMXN, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform to keep up to date with all the latest episode releases. We hope you enjoy the episode today, and thanks so much for tuning in.
This podcast is sponsored by London Nootropics and A Little Find. London Nootropics are a London-based company that makes a blend of high-quality coffee with nootropic and adaptogenic tonics that help to balance the body and boost brain function. We love these coffee blends. Our personal favorite is the Grind Blend, which has a mixture of lion's mane mushroom and rhodiola that helps boost mental clarity and focus and improves overall motivation. If you love a morning cup of coffee, why not try some of these amazing blends for yourself? You can find them at londonnootropics.com or on Instagram at london.nootropics. And A Little Find are an online department store where you can discover innovative, aesthetic, and conscious brands on one single platform for all ages across all categories. We love A Little Find as it shines a spotlight on brands who have a particular focus on being eco-friendly, low-waste, and sustainable. It was from being asked, just where did you find that, many times that the idea for A Little Find was born. You can find them at alittlefind.com or on Instagram at A Little Find.
Hi, and welcome back for another episode of Womxn Things The Podcast. Today we have a very special episode, and it's all about exercising around your menstrual cycle and how to train effectively with your cycle. So before we get started, let's jump into some introductions. My name's Cara. I'm a clinical nutritionist and fertility awareness educator. In my online clinic, I work with women who are suffering from problematic periods and hormonal concerns. I also help women struggling to conceive naturally and provide nutritional support throughout the journey of pregnancy and into early motherhood. I also coach the fertility awareness method, so I teach natural contraception to women and those who want to get more in tune with their fertility and menstrual cycle. So you can find me on Instagram at fempowered_health or on my website, www.fempoweredhealth.com. And of course, as always, I'm here with my lovely co-host, Kirsten Humphreys.
Hi, so as Cara just said, my name's Kirsten Humphreys, and I'm a registered nutritional therapist, certified health and wellness coach, and NLP practitioner. I specialize in women's health and well-being, and in particular, I work with women one-on-one online with any issues revolving around their skin, gut, and hormones, and also mental well-being. I am passionate about educating women on how to live healthier and happier lives and helping people to develop the tools to gain control over their own health and mindset. You can find me on www.knhwellness.co.uk or on Instagram at kickstart_with_Kirsten. And we are also joined today by Jenn Cino from Fit Period. Jenn is a personal trainer and period coach who helps women train and live around their menstrual cycle. I met Jenn many years ago in Australia, and she's come a long way since then, and she's here today to tell us all about her story and the importance of exercising around your menstrual cycle.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So my journey with fitness and health and kind of my hormone journey, I guess, started actually when I was 14. So I was put on the pill because I had really heavy periods, really painful periods. And I stayed on the pill until I was 21, so 7 years. And actually, I got off the pill 3 days after I came home from Australia when I met you. So got off the pill and never heard about any side effects or what it was actually doing in my body. And I remember 3 days later after getting off, my personality, I felt like it flipped. Like I was no longer emotional. I felt like I was a totally different person. It was so drastic. At the time, I noticed so much, and I wasn't really super body aware at that time either. So it was like a very profound moment for me. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, has my entire teenage/early adult life, have I been living as someone else with a different personality? And that was really, really shocking for me. And then the physical symptoms started very soon after quitting. And again, at the time, I wasn't aware of, what birth control does in our bodies. So I didn't actually connect the two until many years later. So I had really severe digestive issues. I remember my hair was like falling out in clumps. I was getting acne. I normally have very, very clear skin, and I was getting acne all over my chin. And the biggest thing was probably the digestive health. I was in excruciating pain literally all day, every day for about 6 years. Doctors would just brush me off, say I was healthy. It was just IBS, just take a laxative. And I was always kind of geared towards the more holistic, natural route anyway. So it never really sat well with me. I didn't want to just be taking medications. I really wanted to figure out, the root cause and what was wrong. And so bringing me to where I am today, many, many years later, thankfully I have, gotten over those issues and became a personal trainer when I was 24 and just kind of focused on the fitness side of things and calories and macros and all the things that you're basically taught as a trainer. And I remember when I started training women, it was like kind of a red flag. I was noticing, 2 women would be on very similar programs, similar structure, similar macros, and get totally different results. And so I knew that there was something deeper than just how many calories you eat, right? And all over Instagram, that's all you hear, like calorie deficits. It's the only way to lose weight, but women are so much more complex than that. And a lot of the times women will end up eating too little. It affects their gut, their nutrient levels, their mental health, their liver function, and a lot of the times it actually makes things worse. So I knew there was more to it than just calories in versus calories out. And so I went, and I'm a nutritionist as well. So I went and got my specialty in hormones, and that kind of kicked off my career, I guess, as a hormone coach. So now we just work more on the inside, getting your detox pathways clear and your nutrients back to where they should be and all that kind of stuff, working on stress management and sleep. And, if weight loss is a goal of a client, that's usually a side effect of doing all the things on the inside out. So that's kind of like a short but long version of why I'm actually so interested in birth control and hormones and all that kind of stuff. And I really, really can resonate with where a lot of my clients are and have started out being because of my experience with that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm not sure if you remember, but I actually was in the group of people that did your first ever exercise manual that you made.
Oh my gosh, I actually do remember that now.
Yeah, so I was on the Facebook group and I did all the exercises, and I can't remember how long it was, but it was really good. But it's amazing to see how you've evolved from that time to now.
Yeah, oh my God, that's so funny. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so we do go way back. It's been about 8 years or something since we first met, right?
Yeah, I think we met when I was 20. I think we're the same age. I was 20. Yeah. So I'm almost 30 now. So almost 10 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. So as the topic of today's episode is about exercise and the menstrual cycle, do you want to kick us off with the importance of this and why you should eat, live, and exercise around your cycle?
Yeah, so I love this question. Again, going back to just the culture that a lot of us are stuck in, especially with social media, it's always, no rest days. And if you're not losing weight, you need to just lift heavier and all these things that really push our bodies to the limit. And that's why, again, I fell into this trap for a very long time, thinking that it was always like I was never doing enough. And it's my fault that I'm not getting the results that I was looking to get. And I think a lot of women struggle with shame and guilt around their bodies or their health because, again, we've just been taught to believe that if you don't look this way or you don't feel this way, it's your fault. You're not doing enough. And when we look at the hormone cycle, 24 hours versus 28 days for men and women, it's very obvious that we need to be treating our bodies different from men and not pushing ourselves every single day. A man gets a fresh start every day. And I know you guys talk about this a lot. They can wake up and, every day they can do the same thing and they can eat the same way and they can train the same way, but we are just not like that. So if you think about it, day 1 of your cycle, when you get your period, looks and feels completely different from day 13 or day 21, right? So the expectation that we should be doing the same thing over and over is just very misleading and quite dangerous a lot of the times too. And that's why women who are over exercising, stress their bodies out more because they're just not matching those hormonal fluctuations. So it's really important to, again, tap into your energy, your mood, your hormones, what part of your cycle you're in, and match that in terms of your exercise and your food so that you're actually working with your body and not against it.
Yeah, I do have to say, I'm coming up to my period now and I am feeling quite tired. And I actually started to do a HIIT exercise yesterday morning and I stopped halfway through because I just didn't have the energy for it. So really, like you said, going in tune with your cycle and changing it up for your energy and your mood and how you feel at that time is so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Jenn, are you able to talk us through like what type of exercises you recommend for the different stages of the menstrual cycle?
Yeah, of course. So I guess we'll start where Kirsten is with in her luteal phase, right? About to get her period. So like you said, your energy is a lot lower. Your hormones are on their way down. They crash the first day you get your period. So it's very intuitive to, need a little bit more rest. So in that PMS phase, I guess you could call it, we do a lot better with strength training because we do better with, the slower movements and not jumping around and not expending all this energy that we don't necessarily have. It's really important too to understand that in your luteal phase, your cortisol, so your stress is actually higher. So doing something stressful like going for a run or doing HIIT or doing 100 burpees will actually, again, raise your cortisol too much and actually push you further back, right? Again, we get stuck in this mentality that you just need to push yourself more, but for women specifically, less really is more when it comes to exercise. So that luteal phase where before you get your period, you want to be doing more strength training, Pilates, body weight, things that aren't going to stress you out too much. Then when we get into that period phase, that menstrual phase, honestly, I think this is very independent of the woman. I feel pretty good on my period. I don't have a lot of the physical symptoms. Yeah, I definitely notice my energy dips, but I'm okay to work out. And then there's some women that really should just be resting, right? It is that time when your energy is going more inward. You should be recovering and rejuvenating for, the cycle ahead. So whether it's an active walk or a light walk around the neighborhood or going for a light hike in nature to kind of reduce the stress levels or doing yoga or even just stretching is a really, really good way to keep, your stress levels down, but not feel like you just have to stay still, especially if you're generally an active person. There's ways to still stay active, but listen to your body and your hormones. And then as we move out of the menstrual phase, we move into our follicular phase, which, not to confuse everyone, that's still part of menstrual, but I like to separate it because there is a very big difference between day 1 of follicular when you get your period and say day 7, right? So usually around the day 3 or 4 mark of your period, I would say you enter that follicular phase, your hormones are rising on the way to ovulation. So you'll definitely find yourself having a lot more energy than you did. Your stress levels are lower, so you can do the HIIT, you can do the, marathon running or more intense training at that time. You'll feel a little bit more social, so going to like a Zumba class or some sort of fitness class where you can get out around people will, really, really be beneficial as well. And then as we move towards ovulation, our testosterone's peaking, so you are at the peak of your strength levels. So doing things like powerlifting or, trying to hit a PR on your squats or deadlifts will be really great in that ovulation phase. You'll still have the energy to participate in, HIIT classes or something that's a little bit more high intensity or cardio based, but be very careful when you're ovulating or around that ovulation phase because your ACL is a lot more prone to injury. I think it's about 3 times more prone to injury. So again, when I work with clients and they're like, I have an ACL injury or I tore my ACL, it's like, you're probably ovulating. So if you are going to be bouncing around, just be really mindful of proper form and protecting your knees.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed phases in my cycle where, like, say I've been riding to work and I like to ride there quite quickly because it's more fun. And some days I'm riding and I'm just like, yes, this is so good. This is so easy. And then I'll come to a couple of days and I'm like, is there something wrong with my bike? Because this is so hard all of a sudden. Like my fitness shouldn't have dropped. Like what's going on? And if you look at it, it's because I'm just at a different stage in my cycle.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, why am I a potato today?
Yeah.
Like, why is everything so much harder?
Yeah. That's so interesting. So what do you find in terms of like women's hormones and the menstrual cycle if you don't kind of follow that cycle of training? So choosing exercises that match kind of where you're at in your cycle.
Yeah. So, when we're not in tune with our body, and I see this a lot with my clients, I remember doing this with myself too, again, getting into that mentality of like no rest days or push yourself a little bit harder. Again, it's important to understand that your hormones are all over the place at different times, right? And so if we are mainly stressing ourselves out too much, especially in the phases where we're more susceptible to stress, like that luteal phase or that PMS phase, it will raise your cortisol levels, your adrenals will be working overtime, and your adrenals are directly connected to your ovarian function and your thyroid function. So usually when there is an issue or an imbalance in one of those systems, it really has this domino effect. So I'll find with clients or women who are pushing themselves too hard, or they're not tuning into the different phases and they're just trying to push through that fatigue or, even being sore, like not taking days to recover and give your body that rest, I will find that they first of all, will have a lot of weight loss resistance, especially around the midsection. They will feel really, really drained. They will usually have period problems as well because now their adrenals are working overtime, their thyroid is working overtime, and it's coming out as painful periods or a lot of cramps or bloating or digestive issues or migraines is a big one as well, right? Because your body is just not being given that time to actually rest and recover. And again, we are so susceptible to different stress levels and how it affects us so much differently than men. So I think the biggest thing I see, aside from like even the mental health, like I said before at the beginning, we have so much shame and guilt attached to what we should be doing or what we think we should be doing. And we've been programmed to think that taking a rest day means you're lazy, when in reality, that's obviously not the case. So again, it comes out in different ways for different women, depending on their body, depending on where their hormones are at and how they're taking care of their gut and their liver and drinking enough water. But I would say the biggest correlation is probably the stress levels, not managing their stress. And then it comes out as anxiety, period problems, insomnia or sleep issues. And the list just goes on. And the issue is, we're not taught these things. And so women aren't making the correlation, right? Again, they just automatically go into the thought process of, oh, I'm not doing enough and I'm not working hard enough or I'm eating too much, and not realizing that those things are actually going to be pushing you further back from your fitness goals.
Yeah, we were saying on one of our previous episodes that when we're younger, all we really taught about in terms of menstruation is basically the reproductive cycle. And we're not really taught about how to manage our cycle and actually really understand what's going on. And it's sad because it's a lack of education, which really should be there.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Even so many women don't even realize that PMS isn't normal. They just think that it's the tuition of being a woman or having a female reproductive system. They just think, oh, this is the way it goes. But that is literally your body telling you that something's off, right? And again, these are not things that we're taught. It's just, you're a female, this is what you're dealt with, and deal with it, or go on birth control.
Yeah, that's so true. So I've seen a little bit of what you've shared on your Instagram, but did you want to share some of the results and benefits that your clients have been getting through working through your program?
Yeah. Oh my God, where to start? So many women come to me for so many different reasons again. And again, it's really important that it's not just like a one size fits all approach, even though a lot of my clients will suffer from the same symptoms, whether it's period problems or anxiety or gut issues. A lot of the times they have different root causes. So that's why it's so important that women know that it's not a blanket fix. And so I have a lot of women with PCOS. That is very, very common now. I'm seeing it so much now. A lot of amenorrhea, so losing their periods or their period just goes away for months and months at a time. A lot of period problems after pregnancy. They never had period issues before. Then they have a baby and all of a sudden it's all out of whack or it's super, super painful. So I have so many women from so many different walks of life, but I think the biggest thing that we love to see with our clients is of course, when they regulate their cycle or they get their periods back. That happens quite a lot. And the mindset shifts more than anything. Again, as much as our program is very transformative and women get great results when they show up for themselves, there's a big, big emphasis on the education because again, I know what it's like to be in their position to some form of an extent, right? I remember what it's like to be in pain and know something's off with my body and doctor's not listening to me or not taking me seriously. Like I know what that's like. And I was in that position because again, like we just said, we're not taught these things, right? And you can't expect obviously every person to come out of the womb as a nutritionist or a personal trainer. We're not expected to know the ins and outs of period health and hormone health, but we should know that some things just aren't normal and you don't have to be dealing with them. So again, the physical successes of getting your period back or regulating your cycle, having pain-free periods. We have a lot of women who get a lot of relief from, anxiety and fatigue, and that's all great. But again, I think the biggest thing is just the education piece and the shifts in mindset from, again, that all or nothing or that black and white thinking, and releasing a lot of that shame and that guilt that they've carried for so long, and them realizing that there's a reason behind what they're feeling and it's not just a fault of theirs. There's an actual scientific reason, and this is how we can work to fix it, right? It really puts a lot of power back in that client's hands to feel like they finally can be in control of their body and their health.
Mm-hmm. So, and I know, Cara, you as well have had some clients in the past that have lost their periods from over-exercising.
Yeah, definitely. I've had quite a few, and really in the last couple of months, it's been a really big feature in my clinic, that the disruption to the energy balance there. So in terms of like physical exercise, what do you generally recommend to those women who have missing cycles, specifically more due to like the hypothalamic amenorrhea picture as opposed to like the PCOS irregular cycles?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So again, it really depends on the woman. With HA, we know that it is, again, like you said, due to energy expenditure. They're not eating enough and they're exercising too much. They're expending too much energy than they are taking in. So there's been a few clients that have come from all different areas, I guess I should say, or different like modalities or ways of thinking that have led to HA and losing their period. I have had women, I don't want to name names, but I have had women who have done the method where they literally have just eaten as much as possible to try and get it back. And while that, I guess, would solve surface level, yeah, you're eating more than you're expending. That's great. Again, that can lead to a lot of disordered thinking or disordered eating and not actually understanding the balance of nourishing your body and nourishing your body through movement as well, right? So again, really depends on what approach that client has tried to take, if any, and then working that way, where their mindset is at, if they have any anxieties around food or around nutrition to begin with, because the way you would, I guess, work with that client would really, really depend on where, more than anything, their mentality is at around it and how they actually got themselves into that position in the first place, right? Is it, disordered eating or disordered thinking patterns around food, or is it just a lack of education and it was kind of a mistake, right? So again, figuring out what the root cause was and working that way, whether it is reverse dieting, getting their gut health back in check, making sure that they're not absorbing their nutrients due to poor gut health. Like there's so many different reasons why that could be happening, again, stemming from the same issue. But again, each woman is kind of on their own path. Is it medications, taking a lot of antacids, and now your gut is not absorbing the nutrients you're eating, right? So again, depending on where their mindset is at more than anything and where they've come from will really depict on what that path to healing would look like.
Yeah, that's so true, Jen. Thank you for explaining that to us. Addressing the root cause is key for all hormonal concerns, and acknowledging where you are in your journey is so important to where to begin. I think for a lot of women that I've been speaking to recently, a lot of the drivers come from that external pressure, which you were describing before, on the having the ideal body and working for it. And if you're not getting the results, then it's your problem. You're just not working hard enough. You're lazy. There's that kind of scenario going on in their mind. Are you able to talk us a little bit through how to have a positive relationship with exercise and your body?
Yeah, loaded question, but a good one. Because again, every woman is different, right? And there's so many different factors coming into it. The way we work with our clients, or we really try to instill more of, body positivity in it, is again, not focusing on the external factors so much, right? Our weekly check-ins that go out aren't, what is your weight, right? Or how much weight did you lose this week? It's tell me one win for your week. How many workouts did you get in? How have you moved your body in a positive way, right? Is there anything we can support you with? When was your last period, right? So again, really shifting the narrative behind like, oh, what's your body look like? Like, let's see those 4-week progress pictures, or what's your weigh-in, and more about like, how was your last period? How is your digestion? Are you going to the bathroom every single day? How's your anxiety? Do you feel a little bit better? How's your energy? And I think when it's not even a very super obvious thing that we do, but I think over the course of them working with us, they start to change their thought patterns, because like, I literally don't care what you look like. I'm happy for you. If body composition changes were a goal in a healthy way, I'm very happy for you, but like, it's not what we're focusing on. I will not allow a client to do like progress pictures more than once every 4 weeks. Again, explaining to them, it is valid to have physical goals. I'm not diminishing that. If you want to look good for you, that is totally, totally valid. But, taking a picture when you just got your period versus when you're ovulating is not an accurate description of your progress, or a depiction of your progress. So we really try and limit the aesthetic progress, right? Again, it's valid, and if that's what you want, then we can approach that in a healthier way. But it is by no means the main focus at all. And we really try and nail that down with our clients. Like, if they're like, I've only lost 2 pounds, I'm like, okay, but like, how's your period? How's your energy? How's your mental health? Because that will tell you so much more about your health and your body than what the scale is telling you, right? And so I think just like going down that route and not even really bringing it to their attention to begin with. I don't even really talk about weight loss in my marketing, right? And that's for a reason, because I want women to understand that there's so many other parameters that will make you healthy or strong than just what you look like in the mirror.
Also, too, muscle does weigh more than fat, right? So the scale isn't necessarily correct, because you could actually weigh more after having worked out some time than you may have weighed a month ago, but this isn't an accurate representation of what your body looks like and how you feel.
Yeah, exactly. And I do make a point too. I posted something in my Facebook group, I think 2 days ago, that was literally like this. It was like, this is not a transformation picture or a progress picture. The only thing it's progress is my gut health. Because on the left, I'm like distended. I wish you knew how much pain I was in, but I was actually 6 pounds lighter than on the right with no digestive issues, right? Like whenever I'm posting something like that, which is very seldom a progress picture, it's always focusing on, the mental health changes that you can't see, or, the digestion. Or on the left, I was fatigued and inflamed and constipated, and on the right, I'm not. It's never about like, on the left, I was 5 pounds overweight, and on the right, I'm not, right? It's like never even injected into my marketing as much as possible, because again, women need to see, I don't want to call myself like a role model, but like women need to have more role models that are not focused on just the way their body is changing. And I tell my clients all the time too, if they're like disappointed in a progress picture or what's on the scale, I'm like, wish I could take a picture of your brain, but I can't, right? Like if I could take a progress picture of your mindset, that would show so much more than what your body is showing you or what the scale is showing you. But unfortunately, I don't have that technology, right? So again, always diverting the conversation in some way to be like, okay, well, this is happening, but tell me something positive about this, right? And again, just teaching them without really them realizing how to divert their thoughts into a more positive direction.
Yeah, I really like how you pointed out that it is okay that if an aesthetics is what you want as well, because I like to exercise and I like to be in shape. And for me, I have quite a positive relationship with food and with exercise and in general, the way I live. So working out to get more toned is absolutely fine for me. I have that goal, but also I started exercise, as you said, for my mental health. And I can say it's made a huge difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think too, that's the thing that people like us need to talk about more, is that, again, it's totally valid and you don't have to feel like an asshole, for lack of a better term, for having those aesthetic goals. But like, my journey has also been 10 plus years, right? It's taken me a long time of sorting out the inside to feel very comfortable with changing my body if that's what I want, and having a different mindset from just starting it because you want to change your body, and learning how to do the internal shifts and the mindset shifts at the beginning and feel like trust yourself more than anything to be able to have a grasp on your journey towards changing your body. I think it's kind of a chapter 2 thing, and too many people are making it a chapter 1 thing.
Honestly, it's made a huge impact. I was actually, when I was studying, diagnosed with depression, and I can say that generally I'm not depressed anymore. And I really, really think it's because of my daily exercise. I've started exercising most mornings, and sometimes I just walk, sometimes I do HIIT. I kind of do, as you said, however I feel like doing on the day. And it's honestly just changed my life.
Yeah, I totally agree with this. I'm laughing because I was thinking about, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I was having a really bad month mentally, and I'm a personal trainer. I know how to build a program. I know what muscles to be working out. And I would literally go into my garage where my gym is and do like 100 jumping jacks and then just like fling my body around. I'm like, I just need to move this energy out. Like any like male personal trainer off Instagram would cringe. I'd be like, you're a personal trainer, what are you doing? But it's literally about just like shifting that energy, getting that excess energy out of your body, because when I'm anxious, I know it's because there's other factors, but I know it's because I haven't moved that energy out of my body. It's stagnant, it's trying to get out, and it's making me tense and anxious. And I know, like, if I go into my gym and I turn on like my 90s Spotify R&B and just fling my body around the room, I feel better.
We do exactly the same thing on the shop floor at work. Like every Friday we're like, yeah, let's shake this out.
Yeah, somatic shaking.
So good.
Yeah, somatic shaking is a tool I tell some of my clients too. It's just like, what do animals do when they're scared or anxious? They shake, right? They're literally getting that movement or that energy out of their body. So if you just sit in your office and like flail your limbs around, you will feel better. It's biological.
Yeah, it's so true. So thank you so much for coming on today, Jenn. We find the work that you're doing with women and in the fitness and wellness space so refreshing, and it's so important. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with our listeners. Before we go, we do have a secret question to ask you. Well, we have 3, and it's all about breaking the taboo around menstrual cycles and periods. So our first question is, how old were you when you got your period? What was your first experience like? And how do you experience your menstrual cycle now?
I love this question. I was going to be scared that it was going to be a harder question. So I think I got my period when I was 12. I'm pretty sure I was going into grade 8. It was summer. It was July 2nd. Not that I took notes or anything. So I think I was 12. Yeah. Going on 13, and I was at my parents' trailer. Like when I was growing up, we had a trailer in a park with like a water park in it. It was super cool and fun. And I had this friend who was a couple years older, and I remember we were riding our bikes and we stopped off at my trailer to change into a bathing suit so that we could go swimming. And I went into, like trailers have really tiny little bathrooms. I remember I went in and I went to change, and there was like blood all in my underwear, and I had like a little panic attack, as you do, and then called my mom in, and I was so upset because I couldn't go swimming. I was so ill prepared. And so I just remember that so profoundly, because I really was upset that I couldn't go swimming. But it was really nice to have like an older friend there who was like, oh, it's fine, I have this too, kind of thing. Obviously I knew what it was. It's just always a shock when you first get it. And now my periods, for a very long time, like I said, they were not fun. that's why I went on birth control. And, you know, years after getting off birth control, they were painful. I remember I had cysts and I never knew when it was coming. I never tracked my period. It wasn't really a surprise because I get the physical symptoms, but I just was so out of tune, almost like I was trying to pretend it didn't exist. Like I didn't want to acknowledge it. And I feel like a lot of women, again, they have a negative connotation with their period because they think it holds them back from doing things, or they have the physical or emotional symptoms when it's coming. And so it's always a negative thing. And now this sounds weird, but like, it's almost like, I don't want to say it's like a game, but it's almost like a challenge. I'm like, how seamless can my period be this month, right? And I still get a few physical symptoms, like my boobs get a bit sore, so I know it's coming. They get sore around ovulation as well, so I know when I'm ovulating. But that's pretty much it. A lot of the times it is kind of a surprise. It's within a few days of each other. It's not like a perfect 28-day cycle, but it's pretty seamless. And again, I've tapped into, I mean, this is a podcast for another time, but I've tapped into how to run my business around my cycle and the mental aspects of it. And so I'm very aware of the gifts of each phase of my cycle. So it's never really a burden to me anymore because I know I can be shifting my creativity or my productivity in a different way depending on what phase I'm in. So yeah, pretty seamless. Now, like I said, physical symptoms aren't really there. And I've just, again, kind of reframed my thoughts around my period and how I think of it, and just really always am eager to pull out the gifts in each phase.
Cool. Thank you so much. Do you want to share with our listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, so I guess probably the easiest way to find me would be on Instagram. So my Instagram is lifeasjen, Jen with 2 N's. And then from there, if you go in my bio, there's a link to join my Facebook group. So if you're interested in joining a safe space with other women who love talking, well, maybe not love, but want to talk about periods and hormones and have questions, that's a really, really great resource that is a big part of, I guess, my brand and my business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. That'll be the end of today's episode. Until next time. Thank you for listening to our show today. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you subscribe, let us know what you thought in the comments, and share it with all the important women in your life. There are plenty more of these episodes to come, so please visit our website to stay in the know. You will find us at womxnthings.com. That's WOMXN. Much love, Kirsten and Cara.
The information contained in this podcast is not intended to treat, diagnose, or replace the advice of your healthcare practitioner. Always consult with a qualified health professional if you have a pre-existing health condition or are currently taking any medications before making any changes to your diet or lifestyle.